Hey guys, I'm Looseie. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be doing our first impressions on Sword of Legends Online. So without any further ado, let's just jump right in. Alright guys, the first thing I want to touch on real quick is the character classes and the character creator, and really one thing in particular for me. So I'm going to go ahead and click create a new character, and as you can see right now, on our release, the NA or Western release, however you want to word it, we have the 6 classes available to us. You have the Spear Master, the Berserker, the Spell Sword, the Bard, the Summoner, and the Reaper. And all of them have 2 subclasses that you can play as. The Reaper has a melee DPS role, or it can be a healer. The Summoner has a ranged DPS role, or it can be a healer. The Bard has a ranged DPS, or it can be a healer. Spell Sword is the only one right now that can only be 2 DPS. It can either be a ranged or a melee DPS. And the Berserker and Spear Master can either both be melee DPS or tanks. So, and one other thing I want to touch on is you're not gender locked. Anything you want to play, you can play whichever one you want. So I think that's cool too. Okay, so I was just finishing up something right here, one of the daily quests that you have. I'm gonna go ahead and press K and then open up the skill menu. And as you can see, you have the option to switch. Basically, anytime you're not in combat, you can switch between the 2 classes. It does take 10 seconds for that to fully happen. Now, once you swap, you're the opposite of whatever you were. So right now I was a cultist healing because I was doing a dungeon, and now I'm swapping back to assassin. Now, it is tab target, and you can do the traditional tab target, which you have the cursor here, or you can do kind of the Guild Wars 2 thing where you hit control and you get rid of it, and then you become a more action combat game where left and right mouse click turn into what Q and E is on your hotbar normally. So you don't have to Q and E anymore. I mean, you still can, but there's no point. Anyway, you can go back to this. I prefer the live action combat mode myself. Now, when you're doing the healing version of the Reaper class, the Occultist, you cannot do it. You have to do tab target combat. So I don't know if every class is locked like that in every scenario. I haven't tried them all out yet, but that's, you know, give and take, I guess, or whatever, some of the things. Anyway, what's the combat like? Well, what we're gonna do here is on the flying mount, and I'm gonna go to one of these kind of rift things. And what you do is, as you get progress in a certain amount of the story mode, you're gonna end up unlocking this artifact. And what it allows you to do is, once you get to these kind of glowing things on the mini map right here, Raging Beast, you'll be able to kind of summon this thing, and you go, it's kind of like a pseudo instance of the world. And I'll show you real quick. So we're gonna hop down, I'm gonna hop off my mount, I'm gonna use the banner, and then you'll see the screen kind of change a little bit, and then all of a sudden, boom. Now this is a solo one, so I'm doing this by myself, so everybody else disappeared. I don't even need to do this. This guy's gonna melt. So anyway, you just destroy these mobs, and I have to say, the Reaper gameplay, I do enjoy it. I think the DPS of it's pretty fun, and it's right now it's the only class that I played. But the combats, I have to say, is pretty smooth. It feels really good. It's a little different, I guess, when you want to play the tab target and then you go to the combat mode, like for the Reaper, for instance. When the class I'm playing on now, this is the assassin version of it. Sure, in combat, what am I in combat with, man? What's attacking me, bro? Okay, dumbass things. Rip. So that is kind of one of the things that makes it a little bit weird, like for the Reaper class, when you're playing the assassin, I personally, I'm in the action combat mode. And then when you swap to the occultist, they force you to do the tab target mode. So it's kind of a weird toss-up between, I don't know if all the other classes share that. But overall, I have to say the combat's pretty solid, and it feels pretty good. Alright guys, now when it comes to the world, yeah, the maps are, it is kind of instance-based, hub-based, how you want to word it. It's not a truly open world like Arcade or, you know, maybe older World of Warcraft. However, you do have, and you'll see, when you go through these little kind of line zones to go into the next zone, these are kind of your loading screens. Other than the loading screens and going in between, the zones are completely different. They are extremely open. I found myself going back to Blade and Soul as a reference all the time. I'm like, man, if BNS would have done that, if they would have done this, if they would have done that, it's like, this is, in almost every way, it's just a better version of that game. But I don't really want to get stuck in that comparison necessarily. So anyway, when you come through a new zone, You know, the map is kind of fooling you at first, and the way that the game plays out, you think it's kind of small, but because you can go just about anywhere, you can fly in almost every map, you have triple jumps, you have a lot of movement, it really makes the world feel open. Alright guys, now the next thing I definitely want to touch on is the story system. I mean, just the questing. Like, that's why I call it story system, because it's not really a quest system. You can almost this game kind of feels a lot like Final Fantasy XIV in the way that they emphasize the story so much. Now, here's what I need to say right away. The localization, the voice acting, it's pretty rough. It's really, really bad right now. Subtitles don't match. The English voiceovers don't match. Sometimes half the sentence is in Chinese, sometimes the rest of the sentence is in English, and then those words don't match, and then sometimes the subtitles are in Chinese too, and you have no idea what's going on. Voiceovers are going over each other. I understand they probably rushed this out to get it over here, and even with that, it's still more polished than some of the other games that especially lately, that have come out. So keeping that in mind, there is a ton of emphasis on the story and everything, and that's what I have here, the cultivation menu. And as you can see, I've done all the beginner tutorial stuff, and then I got all my little check marks, so I'm finished that. I've got to student 1, which is the in-game level for right now. It's 36 plus this one, so technically 37 levels. And then the cultivation menu just kind of shows you everything that's going on throughout the entire game, all the different things that you can do throughout the day, weekly, the events calendar thing that are coming up, because yes, some of this stuff is time gated, which I hope to get rid of that. That's so aggravating to have time gated content. I don't know why people are still doing that in 2021. It's the dumbest shit ever. It's to time gate fucking anything. It's so stupid. Time gating rewards, yeah, I can understand that. Getting something maybe once a week, I get that. But just time gating the content itself, like you can only participate from fucking 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Man, you can go fuck yourself from 4 o'clock to 5 o'clock. Anyway, this is completely off topic. So anyway, you come to your tutorial, and this is going to bring you through, and there's just so much. Like, yeah, the UI is a lot. You can see that. There's a lot on the UI. I mean, they give you options to hide players, teammates, and enemies, and block pop-ups, or you can just hit Control-H and then hide everything. And then that really makes, the game really, really looks cool, and it actually smoothens it up quite a bit as far as the frame rate goes, especially when you lower that down, when you take all that crap off the screen. UE3, that's another bad thing about it. However, UE4 will be coming, and I can't not stop bringing that up. Anyway, there's so many different systems. I mean, you have a pet system, which is this little thing that doesn't really do anything, but it does do things. It gives you like passive abilities, like passive things, like once you get to second part of your pet, you're going to get extra fortune once you start leveling up. And then you can craft items, which is kind of the deal from it. Once you get a certain enough currencies, you can start purchasing these quality level 60 items, which is currently right now one of the higher end. I think 70 might be the highest, but 60, I've only got like 260 pieces. Yeah, I got the Swan Grace, and then I got one of the Pine Amulets. So 51 right now in my PvE set, and 50 in PvP. So when you hit in-game and you hit the max level at student, you're going to go through, I'll bring it up again, you're going to go through this entire PvP scenario thing, and it's going to run you down, and it's going to give you a beginner set. And then once you finish the PvE side, also the same way, you'll be around 50-ish gear score when you finish. So you'll be able to, the whole leveling process is story/tutorial. And then once you get to student 1, it's just a bunch of more story, and now you have all these other things to go back to on some of these earlier maps. So the game, some of the beginning maps even open up more, because you can go back to the beginning zone and then summon those other in-game mobs or a world boss or whatever. Like, you see these guys, the Spirit Stone, Enhanced Fox, and these are the things you summon with that banner. So there's so many different things, and aside just the queued PvP, which you have, let's go down here to the Battle of the Continents. You can do the dual battles, which is 3v3s, and then you have these the battlegrounds, which are a little bit different. Again, it's fucking time gated, 10 a.m. to 1 a.m. and look, bruh, people have lives. Like, the people that are paying money for this shit and that are gonna buy all the shit in the cash shop, the majority of us have things that we have to do. We can't be here for an hour, or 2-3 hours out of the freaking worst time of the day for most adults. You guys have to stop doing dumb shit like this. You know what I'm saying? Like, if I want to do it, I can't even do it right now. I have to wait. It's so dumb. And then you time gate quests behind stuff like that too. I never understood that. It's absolutely brain dead from every fucking aspect. You want me to go do other shit in the game? That's fine. I'm gonna go do other shit. But what if I just want to PvP? In fact, let me stop. But aside from that, there are, tons of things. I haven't even got into the crafting yet, guys. They got all the different things. Now, a lot of the stuff is to add on to gear. Like, for instance, the red letter J2. This is a piece that you would put into a socket for a gear. Like my Pine Amulet, for instance, has a socket. So there's a vertical progression gear system. And there's these other systems. There's a lot of stuff, is what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. There's a fuck ton of systems in this game. You have companions that you can bring with you and use them in dungeons, and make your own group and go do a solo dungeon with these NPC controlled companions. Look, there's just so many different things, and they try to bring everything up front to you, like piece by piece, so you can start to understand all. Just look at all the menus as I scroll over each menu piece, all the different things that you have. So you're gonna be able to stay busy for sure. Even if you're a lore nut, you can go around and do. Watch, I'll open this up, the biography, and this is biographies of NPCs in the game, and then you go through and do little personal stories. And right now they have 70 different ones, and some of them are required by the tutorial, but the majority of them, it seems like I've done a lot. As you can see, I haven't finished a lot of them either, and I have unlocked a lot, but I haven't been progress locked behind the majority of these things. So it's all extra stuff. It gives you extra, reputation grind. That's a whole nother thing that is, I'm actually kind of glad to see be brought back, a reputation grind. That was something kind of nice. So you get all these different reputations that you can go buy, different in-game accessory vendors and stuff, and to get different things from. And obviously, I might as well talk about it while I'm on the mount. There is a version of a fast travel. The lunar eclipse. You can teleport to any waypoint on a map after 3 minutes. Now, that's only on the map that you're on. Now, you can do the, I don't know if I have it on my hotbar. I'm sorry, guys. Yeah, here we go, Circus Drive. It's got a 90-minute cooldown, and it can take you anywhere in the game, but on 90 minutes. So other than that, you're going to have to start learning the routes to move around places and to get to the dungeons and whatnot. So I think that that's really cool. Bring that open world aspect back in, which a lot of games have eliminated. And granted, it's not a true open world, but I think that this system it's better than other systems. Trust me. It doesn't feel like a hub once you start moving around and you start playing the game. You're like, you know what? I thought this might be hub-based, but it's not. It doesn't feel like it, even though technically it is. Alright, guys. So when it comes to my final thoughts on solo, Sword of Legends Online, whatever you want to call it, I have to say, it's not that bad. If you're looking for something different, if you're looking for maybe something to scratch that kind of Eastern itch that you had, type themed MMO, I know some of you guys may have remembered Revelation Online, or have maybe you tried it like I did from the beginning of the beta launch until I even spent one of it. I got into that. But you get some of that kind of feel. I thought Revelation had some good things about the game going for it, minus all the other negative crap. And of course, I don't even think let's not get into it. But I think this is a very competent game. The UE4 engine is definitely going to help out with a lot of the technical issues that they have, a lot of performance things, which, don't get me wrong, it performs, relatively good. And I don't have the top of the line in system, but it's not a stinker either. The localization, if voice acting and some of that stuff is an issue, where you're going to run into that, because that's kind of one of the big things that really sucks, especially if you're trying to get into some of the story, and then some of these VOs just are like, you have got to be kidding me. You're going to find yourself spamming F sometimes. So don't think that that's not going to happen. Again, this is just a first impressions video. Overall, I think it's good. It does have a box price, so you are going to have to pay to play. As far as I can tell, there's zero pay to win, like none at all. Again, first impressions. It hasn't even been out for a week yet, so we'll see how they continue on with this. But please let me know what you guys think. And again, if you're on the fence about it, and you know, say you like Blade and Soul, you may have liked Revelation Online, you'll definitely like this. I think it's a better version. I mean, it even has some Final Fantasy 14 aspects mixed into it. You know, with a kind of a Terra-esque feel. Of course, with the UE3 thing, you can kind of almost feel, things do feel weighty, so there's a good atmosphere. So I think there's a lot of good things going here. And I forgot to mention the music. The music is absolutely magnificent. I have to say the soundtrack is great. Now, I didn't play any of it during the video because of copyright strikes, or maybe I don't even want to try it. So you guys are going to have to unfortunately go somewhere else or play the game to hear the music. But the music and the soundtrack, I think, it's really good, especially some of the boss fights in the dungeons. If you guys are on the fence about it, my personal recommendation, I'd say give it a shot. Anyway, guys, that brings us to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I will be bringing a full review later on whenever, you know, we get a little bit more and I get a little bit more into the in-game content to get you, you know, I want to give that full experience from all those different categories. And let me know down in the comments below if you guys want to, you know, see any, you know, maybe little quick guides or tutorials if you got stuck anywhere. Hopefully I can answer a question or two. And, you know, if you plan on checking the game out. And until then, we'll see y'all next time.